You are not in traffic, you are traffic. And the same thing goes for society. You are not a part of society, you are society. There's a lot of hate, there's a lot of divisiveness, there's racism, sexism, all the isms, right? There's all these things going on, and I'm just like, you are not in traffic, you are traffic.
Living life every day, late at night, not okay. All I want, and I pray, all I need are some better days.
Hello, my beautiful friend. Welcome back to another episode of the Real Life Adulting Podcast. We have all of the best content here to help you navigate adulthood with confidence. And this has got to be one of my favorite episodes because it is with one of my best friends in the speaking industry. And his name is Dee Hankins. This is a man whose story will stop you in your tracks and whose resilience will light a fire under your soul. Dee Hankins is not just a youth motivational speaker, he is a walking testimony to the power of perseverance, mindset, and choosing purpose over pain. After growing up in the foster care system and facing obstacle after obstacle, Dee could have given up, but instead, he made a decision to turn adversity into advantage and use his voice to empower the next generation. Over the years, Dee has built a powerful name for himself in the youth speaker world, not just because of the stages he's rocked or the thousands of students he's impacted, but because he shows up with realness, relatability, and a message that sticks. His storytelling is unmatched, his delivery is unforgettable, and his mission is crystal clear to help young people build resilience and believe in the power of their own comeback story. So if you're struggling, doubting yourself, or just need a reminder that you're stronger than your circumstances, this is a conversation for you. Not only is this the longest episode of the Real Life Adulting Podcast, you also get the video. I don't always post the videos, but for this one, I want you to see Dee speak. I want you to see me speak. And just this fun, lighthearted, but also serious and practical, emotional, and deep conversation that Dee and I have. So, with that, please welcome Dee to the show. How are you?
Well, I'm doing well. I'm busy, which is great. I have no complaints. I am I'm doing it.
You're
I'm,
you're
I'm
making it
just
happen.
I'm making it
I
happen.
I frequently stalk your Instagram, so I got to make sure I didn't miss nothing, you know? I got to learn about the three buckets of my life. I'm like, let me just refresh my memory. What are those three buckets again?
Hey, I master it. That's what I've been telling people. Master it, and you will figure out a lot. That three bucket philosophy, and this just came from research, like random research on trying to figure out resilience and all that. And I came like things just started connecting and putting together, and it's just like, wow, man, like this is really it. If you can do this, work on this, focus on this, master these three buckets, you really can take a big, you can take the wheel over your life and make huge changes.
Wait,
Huge.
I have a question about that. That's really interesting. Which, by the way, I'm gonna just say we started the show and we just hopped right in, and I'll figure out the best place to start later.
Perfect.
I'm gonna record your intro separate and kind of just put it in the beginning. I don't know if you sent me one or you want me to just find one, or I can make up one. I'm sure I could go off the
We'll
cuff
just,
here.
no, we'll just, yeah, do whatever. I'm open.
Unfortunately, I don't have my special D Hankins jacket, so I can't promote it today,
Oh,
but
did
it'll
I not
come.
send you one? Did I not give you one?
I don't know. I feel like it was in the works, but it'll
Okay,
happen. It'll
I
happen.
need to
I'll,
give you one. Yeah.
I'll
After this,
represent.
send
I
me your
like,
address.
I mean, I feel like if you didn't send me the black one, like that white one's actually kind of cool. Wait. Okay. Whoa, that's actually kind of, I don't know. What do you think would look better on me?
Uh, Anything looks good on you. Look,
Okay. Well,
anything.
Well, as sweet as that is, that's also a typical guy response. So I can't accept it. That's
I can't accept that answer. I'll just send you the whole shebang, man.
yeah, we'll talk. I don't think the people care about what jacket you're gonna give me. Do you remember, and then I'll get into my question, I promise. Do you remember when we met? I think there's two times I'm thinking of in my head about when we met. I'm not sure which one came first, but all I know is I right when I met you, I was like, "Oh my God, I am in the midst of a famous person. I am
Oh my goodness.
dripping sweat. I am so nervous." And then you were just like the coolest guy ever. And I'm like, oh, you're like a real person. You're not like God, you know?
Just a regular guy. I'm just a regular guy. No, we yeah, that was
Pasadena?
I want to say Pasadena, and somebody had mentioned your name, Eden Gold. And I thought it was a dude at first.
Thanks.
I was like Eden Gold, and I was just like, dude, that's such a cool name. I just actually just want to meet this person and tell them, dude, your name is dope. Eden Gold. Like that's a sick name. And then I think you were doing a workshop or something,
Hmm.
and I just peeked my head in and it was just like, oh, that's Eden Gold. And you were talking to students, and it was pretty cool. But you were talking to students and cracking jokes and things like that. And yeah, and then it was just that was that. And then we had a few conversations about just kata, speaking life, and so on and so forth. And I believe you asked about the kata convention, like going to the
Oh,
adult
yeah.
convention where then we had a booth right next to each
Oh my
other.
gosh,
And
that was so cool. My mom loves
yeah,
you.
it was
My mom,
great.
my mom just considers you and everyone else who was in that booth her adopted child. So I mean, at this point, like at this point, we're family, okay?
Hey, I'm with it. I'm with it. Your mom was the sweetest person, super down to earth, man. What really impressed me about her is which why this podcast makes sense is she has let you grow up. I see that. She has let you make your mistakes. She has let you do your thing, like let you literally like leave the nest. She's always close by, but she has let you figure out this whole adult thing. And just
Yeah.
by her interactions and what she was saying to me and how she was interacting with you, you have a very close relationship with her. And she trusts you. She trusts you. At least that's what it seems like to me.
You're right. She's my best friend for sure, hands down. And she has supported multiple entrepreneurial endeavors before I decided I wanted to be a speaker and funded them too. I mean, we're just talking a couple $100s when I was 16, but she was like, "You want to wrap crystals? There you go. You want to sell life insurance?" I actually got into this like MLM thing when I was like 16. I'm like, "What? People can make
Um,
money online?" I'm like, "That's crazy." And here I am like 16, like, "Hey, want to buy car insurance?" And that lasted for like a day. But I mean, she's really just been the biggest supporter. And one thing I was thinking of earlier today is I just had this weird just reflection on life. Is there a word for that? Like, what do you call that? When you just think about your life experience.
yeah, reflection,
Yeah, okay, well,
reminiscing.
yeah, I was reminiscing and I was like, I would never be a speaker or probably an entrepreneur if my dad didn't go to prison. And it was a weird thought because like my whole life, well, since I was 10 at least when he got arrested, I just like hope and I pray and I wait for the day that he, was not in prison anymore if and when, but we have is hope. But when I get to thinking about it, it's just kind of a testament to you don't always realize how a good thing can come of something like your dad serving a life sentence in prison, but it's the reason why I speak or I have fuel to speak because he's such a important part of my story that I share and to relate to young people who lose parents for all sorts of reasons.
Yeah, no, I mean, the when you look at it that way, which goes back to the three buckets, right? And I'm a firm believer that everything happens for a reason, and or you can turn any curveball. My slogan is literally life throws curveballs, but even curveballs can be hit for home runs. And I believe that wholeheartedly. I believe there are people in prison, much like your dad, who are serving life sentences, even walking death row, that have turned their life around completely, and they maybe never would have gotten to that point if they didn't go to prison, right? Which ultimately also looks like, well, if I didn't commit this crime, I wouldn't have ended up in prison. That I wouldn't have met this person who, whether, helped me with my faith or taught me a lesson that put things into perspective or whatever the case may be. There's so many different ways to look at these curveballs in life, but I'm a firm believer that everything that happens can be turned around into something great. And the fact that you chose to become a speaker, that's and as speaker is such a blah term, right? You do a lot more than that. But to your point, if it wasn't for this pivotal moment in your life that now you talk about and how that impacted you, that also helps thousands of other people. You've taken control of something that was really hard in your life and you turned it into something pretty amazing. And now Eden Gold is a household name.
Well, thank you. But you, I mean, you kind of did the same thing. Like, do you feel like your life experience and the things that you've gone through, which don't worry, we're going to get into the three buckets, we're going to get into the life story. Maybe we should just start there. Why don't you, before we talk about how your journey kind of led you to where you are today, who are you? Who is this famous Dee Hankins who we have such the honor of talking to on the show? Bring us back to the womb, brother.
Right. So yeah, I mean, I just like anybody else, I was born and I was just born in just a situation in which my mom and dad made a lot of mistakes when they were growing up, which led me into the foster care system. I spent 18 years of my life, the first 18 years of my life, bouncing around the foster care system. 12 different foster homes, two different group homes by the time I was 12 years old. So I didn't really have much of a childhood, man. My first 18 years was just a lot of survival mode, a lot of mistakes that I made, and had issues and trauma and drama, you name it, I had it. And there was just the hardest things that I had to do in life were the most impactful things. When you grow up in foster care, speaking of, it's May, it's Foster Care Awareness Month, which is awesome. And speaking of foster care, it's just like most kids that have that experience of moving around multiple times and the feelings of abandonment and neglect and so on and so forth, you it's hard to trust. You create this barrier, which is you don't trust anyone. And ironically, in order for you to get out of the survival mindset, you have to learn to trust people again. And that's all I did. Over time, I felt I ran into some really good people that were trustworthy, and they led me down a path of what I do now.
Do you feel like even to this day, it's hard to trust people who come your way, or is that something you can confidently say, like, oh, I've fully overcome this? Because I feel like for people who've gone through just really tough things in a tough childhood, it can be really easy to trigger that again. And is that something I know you teach about it a lot? And I mean, you just everything you share in your messages with young people is just so passionate, it's so profound and really honestly life-changing. But do you still find yourself like, oh shoot, I need to like check myself, or I'm like falling back down this path again, or something like that? Like, hey family, I want to take a quick pause from today's episode and share something incredibly important, especially if you're listening and you work at a high school or a college, go to a high school or a college, have graduated from a school you believe needs to hear this message, or you're part of an organization that serves young adults and wants to contribute to their success. This fall, I'm officially launching my first ever national speaking tour, the Unshakable U Tour. The mission: to help 1 million students build unshakable self confidence.
and give them the tools to stop second guessing themselves, take bold action, and create a future they're actually excited about. Why now? Because the stats are heartbreaking. Over 70% of Gen Z students say that they feel uncertain about their futures. They're overwhelmed, they're struggling with mental health, and being told to be college and career ready without ever being taught how to navigate real life. Additionally, young adults are dramatically underprepared for corporate America. Studies show that Gen Zs lack professionalism skills, communication skills, and as a result, they lose opportunities or don't represent companies effectively. The work we do changes these statistics. I've worked with thousands of students over the years and know firsthand just how impactful it is to give students the gift of something others cannot take from them in this challenging world that they grow up in. That gift is unshakable self-confidence, the foundation of everything else you will do in your personal and professional life. The Unshakable U Tour is not just about talking to people. It's about breaking down the barriers that separate us as a community and preparing the next generation of leaders for a lifetime of success beyond the classroom walls. Through interactivity, high energy, and emotionally moving stories, we focus on building real world connections, lifelong bonds, while giving students the tools they need to succeed. We are currently booking a limited number of spots between late August and October. Everything is included, no hidden fees, and a custom digital resource, including 6 months of free access into my online program, Life After High School, for every student who attends. So if you want to bring something unforgettable, or dare I say, unshakable to your school or your organization, book a call with me. You can go to IamEdenGold.com/tour to view upcoming tour dates, details, and booking info. I'm also going to link it down in the show notes. Spots are limited, and once they're full, they're gone. So don't wait. Let's bring something real to your students this fall. Okay, let's get back into the show.
Well, yes and no. So the what I've learned is that let's say you have 7 steps to being a trustworthy person or figuring out they're a trustworthy person. Let's just say that, for example. The first 3 steps of an untrustworthy person and a trustworthy person look exactly the same, right? So you have to know, ironically, you have to go through both to learn. You have to deal with enough untrustworthy people and enough trustworthy people to know the difference, because step 1 and step 2 and step 3 look exactly the same. What do you need? This is why, prostitution and gang banging and all those things still exist, because you'll have somebody who's in need and a non-trustworthy person will fulfill that need in the moment. A trustworthy person will fulfill that need in the moment, right? You have you need safety or money or something to eat, or you need something taken care of. Well, the untrustworthy person will also, that's step 2, will take care of the things that you need taken care of. They'll give you shelter, they'll give you a home, they'll give you a space to be by yourself, privacy, whatever the case may be. And so will a trustworthy person.
Yeah.
And the last step is just making sure you feel secure, like being there in your times of need. A trustworthy person will do that, and a non-trustworthy person will do that. Step 4 is where you differentiate. Step 4 for the non-trustworthy person is, hey, remember I did all those things for you? Now I need you to do these things for me. Versus the trustworthy person who asks nothing of you, right? Then if you keep going down the ladder, the untrustworthy person will get mad at you for not meeting their expectations. The trustworthy person will be disappointed in you for not meeting their expectations because they put faith in you, right?
Mm-hmm.
They believed in you and you let them down, so they're disappointed. Meanwhile, the untrustworthy person could care less about you. They're just grooming you to get to what they need. So if
Yeah.
you don't now return what they need, now they're mad at you. Now they're, you can get jumped, you can get disbanded, you can get all these things. Meanwhile, a trustworthy person just goes, come on, Eden. come on, dude, like get it together. Like again, we're doing this again. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people don't know the difference. They feel like a disappointed person doesn't care about them anymore. Oh, I'll never be enough for you, you know, this and so on and so forth. But really, when somebody is disappointed in you, it's because they trusted you. And
Mm.
that is the difference that I've seen. So it your your assessment is correct. Are there times where I'm walking down these steps and I'm going, all right, here you know, we're getting close. Are
Yeah.
they going to ask me for something or not? So yeah, there's always anxiety there, but that's just the nature of the game when it comes to human beings. Uh, and eventually you'll figure it out if they're trustworthy or not by how they approach you and how they deal with you when when they set you free, right? This untrustworthy person is going to want something back. The trustworthy person is just going to want you to fulfill your part of the bargain.
Do you feel like we keep ourselves stuck way too long though? Because I'm a firm believer that young adults are a lot smarter than even they give themselves credit for. And, you know, they walk around, they might act confident to their friends or whatever, but it's the whole like confidence is silent, insecurity is loud. Like the louder you are, you know, it just screams insecurity. But really, young adults are a lot smarter than they give themselves credit for. So when you're talking about, you know, identifying trust versus mistrust or whatever the dichotomy is going on in their life, I feel like if we really think about it, I know who to trust and who not to trust if I'm being honest with myself and I've practiced my skill of self-awareness. However, I might know that to be true, but not want to believe it because of like a deep fear of I need to be loved. I want to be loved. I want to be accepted. And so I'm just gonna lie to myself and convince myself that everybody is trustworthy, even when they're not. And like you know they're not. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So how can we
Well,
kind of
so the paradoxical thought there is now you're the untrustworthy person, right? Like if you're lying to yourself, you're now the untrustworthy person. And so your mistrust for yourself is now projected on either or the trustworthy or the mistrustworthy person. So what I would say is you got to learn to trust yourself. And
Mm.
you know, there's a speaker out there. His name is Bashar, and he talks about the paradox of trust. And it's hilarious how he puts it because you know he's talking to this lady, and this lady goes, you know, you know, I have trust issues, and he's like, you can't. And she's like, well, what do you mean? She's like, no, dude, like I have severe trust issues. And he's like, you can't have trust issues because you're trusting that. And I'm like,
Oh, whoa. Okay, I
yeah,
had to think about that.
yeah, you're trusting that you have trust issues. So therefore you don't have trust issues, right? Like you can have moments of mistrust, like you have moments where people, you know, you figure out somebody lied to you, but you're trusting the fact that you have trust issues. So how
Yeah,
could you have trust? You know what I'm saying? Like,
I
and
know
it
what you're
really
saying.
think like, dang, you're right. You're right. It's so people with like anxiety, you know, or he said, what he says, trust issues. And then he says something along the lines of, uh, like insecurity or something like that. You know, I have major insecurities. And he's like, well, you can't because you're secure about that.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, like you know what I'm saying? So it really blows your mind and really and to your point and to your question, yes, we cause ourselves to be stuck because we don't want to have the feeling of being lied to. Nobody wants that. However, you have to go through that in order to figure out what trust really looks like. And now you have full control over, you know, like you see somebody untrustworthy and they start following similar patterns, which is the beauty of human beings. We rarely venture away from our patterns, our routines, our nature, right? We're very routine in how we behave and things like that. So an untrustworthy person is not going to change much, right? And a trustworthy person is not going to change much. They're going to act the same.
Yeah.
So if you're constantly around people who let you down, you're attracted to that. I'm making those choices to be around those people because you have yet to differentiate the difference between the two. Does that make sense?
That makes sense. And I'm kind of mind blown still. I'm still thinking about the secure and the insecure thing because I feel like now that I know this information, like what do I do with it? Like that's a crazy thought to have.
You put it in your buckets, man. You put it in your three buckets, and you understand that there are things that, and I tell people this all the time. Where we are today, you and me, okay? Spiritually, financially, physically, mentally, where we are today is a culmination and an accumulation of the choices that I have made on a daily basis and choices that you have made on a daily basis. So I'll be, I don't even know how old I'm going to be tomorrow. 30, I think I'll be 38 or
That's
something.
right. It's Dee's birthday tomorrow.
Woo, let's go, birthday boy. But 38 years, I've made choices that have put me in positions, whether good or bad. So let's say I keep telling myself I have trust issues. That's because I've made choices constantly where I have become untrustworthy myself. You know what I'm saying? I've let myself down. I've promised myself things that I didn't do. I'm going to work out, January 1st comes. Oh, these are my things. And if I've fallen short on all my goals, that starts to sink in. How can you feel like, how can people trust me when I can't even trust myself?
I was literally just having this conversation about how self-confidence is quite simple. It's about keeping the promises you make to yourself and you build a rapport with yourself. I say I'm going to do something and I do it. Look at any really confident person you know, they likely have a track record of keeping the promises they make to themselves. And then if you look at an insecure person, they repeatedly let themselves down. So you either need to lower your standards or do more. But if you're at a place where you're like stuck and doing nothing, all right, let's do some more. Okay. So let's find this
Yeah.
middle ground because like here's where I want to go. Here's where I am. Like, what are we going to do in this middle area? We have to take an action and commit to that action. And then it kind of builds this motivation. And one thing I say in my talks too is motivation is created, not given. Like you're not always going to have motivation. Motivation is a fleeting feeling, and all feelings are temporary. You're not going to feel one feeling 100% of the time. So you take action, the motivation comes, you build that trust with yourself, and that's ultimately how you start to change your life, like step by step, piece by piece. You know what I mean?
Little wins, little wins. That's all
Yeah.
it takes. I use what I call the win the day method. I have four main goals that I need to accomplish every day. Right. So, one is I have this unhealthy relationship with sugar. So, one is to not eat sugar. Right. Save that for Sundays. The next is a Spanish lesson. I've always wanted to just be fluent in Spanish. So, finish a Spanish lesson. It's 30 minutes. My second is to work out. And my third right now is to write a little bit for my book, right? Just write a little bit, an hour, 30 minutes, doesn't matter. Just write something, okay? Anytime I don't win the day, I know I've made a bunch of excuses on why. I could literally I could wake up at 5 in the morning and hammer out all of this by 7 a.m. and then be done. But because I don't, I look back and it's like you said, your confidence starts to chip away because you're thinking about all the things that you should have done. And your brain knows you don't get tomorrow back. Your brain knows it's lost. So whatever you didn't do yesterday is gone. You don't get it back. You don't get a second chance. It's done. Right. And so the reason why this win the day helps me is because instead of I got 6 months to lose weight, it's like I have 365 days to work out. I have 365 days to eat healthy. Right. And instead of going, oh, I missed a week, I can say, you know what, I have 350, something days left. And then you start to get in the habit. That's where self-discipline is built. It's self-discipline and confidence and resilience. They all go hand in hand. They're holding hands together, skipping down the street, whistling Dixie. You know what I'm saying? Because they're best friends. If I can complete these goals every single day, now it's starting to get into a habit. My
Yeah.
self-discipline starts to rise, which means my confidence starts to rise. Why? Because I can see my six pack. You know what I'm saying? Like I can go to the beach and take off my shirt and not feel embarrassed. Not because I finished my 6 week program. It's because I dedicated I kept a promise to myself every day. And the more you keep the promises to yourself, the less other people can hurt you.
Man, I wish I could see my six pack. Like I got to get on whatever you're doing. I got to get on that
Weren't
kind of
you
regimen.
boxing and
Yeah.
kickboxing and
Yeah, I'm
I saw
actually
you
training.
roundhousing
I'm
people?
training for a fight right now. So our gym is putting on an in-house smoker, and they got me to do it, and my opponent is my boyfriend's ex, and so
Oh, wow.
but I
That
it
is interesting.
and my sister at first she was like, you should say you're gonna be sick, don't do it, and I was like, but like but like one day the grandkids are gonna want to know about how I beat his ex's butt. No, I'm just kidding. No, she's been doing it way longer. And I love her. She's actually very sweet. We did not just say that on air. But yeah, so no, I'm working out. I'm getting it. I get hurt a lot, but I'm getting it. But either way, I love what you said. And I want to bring it back before we get too far into this because you touched on community just a little bit. And I want to ask you, at what point did you start, or how rather, did you start to form your own sense of community with people who you trusted, who could be mentors for you, and who could help you see what your potential could truly be in life personally and as a speaker? Because bouncing around in the foster care system, like no wonder you've struggled with not trusting people and finding that stable environment. So where's that transition?
Yeah, I mean, you answered the question within your question is those people are constantly doing what you said. They're constantly saying, "Hey, you have a future here." They're constantly showing up. They're constantly, like I said, they're disappointed when I don't meet the mark. They're constantly like, "Hey, you got a future. You can do this, 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 and this. You have talent." They're seeing the good in you and they're trying to piece it together for you and say, "Follow this blueprint. I have somebody that can help you with A, B, and C. Oh, you want to be a speaker? Cool. Meet this person. This person has been so on and so forth. Then you meet that person. Person goes, "Oh, you know so and so. Oh yeah, she's a great friend of mine. You should so on and so forth and do the." And then you look up and you're like, "Man, you have this whole team of people that have been behind you, gearing you up for what you thought you couldn't do." And it's beautiful. And that's literally how it started. It's just, with a school counselor who says, "Hey, you're going to go to college." And then somebody else that, your coach that says, "Hey, dude, like you've been doing great in track. I think you have a chance to go D1. Let's go. I'm going to set up some college campus tours for you." And,
Yeah.
and it's just like, wait a minute. The other day, my counselor was just like, "You can go to college." And now your coach is like, "Oh, we're going to set up some campus tours for you." And then you go to your college tour and you see your cousin or something. It's just weird how things happen that way. And that's how it happened with me. I went to Long Beach State. I ran track, and I picked Long Beach State for a super shallow reason, but it ended up working out for me. But I ran a track meet there, and I fell in love with the campus, and boom.
Yeah, it sounds like it's really like the compiling of little action steps and reaching out to this person, that person, and not being scared. And sometimes all it takes is one person to believe in you. And sometimes, at least for me, I've had people believe in me a lot, even when I didn't in myself. So I didn't want to hear it. But I kept being optimistic about what the possibilities for my life could be, even if I didn't fully believe it. But I still surrounded myself around people who could lift me up. And then, one day, for multiple different areas of my life, but one day it might hit different and somebody will catch you on that day where you're more receptive or it hits different. And then it feels like you just start to believe in yourself again and believe that anything is possible. One thing I wanted to ask you though is how what advice would you give to, let's say it's 12-year-old, 14-year-old D, right? And maybe he goes to school and he's being a difficult student. What advice would you give to like an educator who they see that the student is being really difficult, but at the end of the day, the student is just trying to survive. Like they go home in not the best environment, but the teacher, they're not getting paid that much and they're trying to do their job, so maybe they're not there's just a mismatch. How can you sort of bridge that gap between the student and teacher relationship if the student's really just in full survival mode?
Yeah, that's a tough one because if a portal opened up and I can see my 12, 14-year-old self, I would say ask for help. Ask for help. Even when you don't want to, even if you feel like people don't see you or care, you just never know. And if people, especially with what I know now, if people feel like you're okay because you're walking around like you're okay, there's no need for action. The squeaky wheel gets the oil. The person who says, "Man, I'm going through it. I'm having a hard time. This is my life." They're the ones that get the help. The person who walks around like, "Oh man, I'm good. Like, everything's good. Life is good." You don't get no help because you don't need it.
Yeah.
Your wheel's good. And so I kept a lot to myself at 12 and 14. And all of that junk that built up within me started to manifest into behavior.
So you wanted
And
to appear okay, like you weren't quote
yeah, I
unquote
wanted to appear
hurt. Damn it.
normal.
Mhm.
Yeah, like a regular kid that, I'm just living life, even though I was hungry, even though like I was dirty or upset that night or just hated life. I wanted to appear normal. School is this sense of normalcy. And so if the teacher called me out or singled me out or something like that, I immediately went back into survival mode because just like, oh, people see me and I need to build my fort again. And sometimes that's acting out. Sometimes that's cussing a teacher out, throwing a desk, cracking a joke, pissing the teacher off just to let the students know, no, no, I got this. Don't listen to what she said. I'm not afraid to disrupt things to keep my sense of normalcy. And the reality is, what I was going through wasn't normal, And so being able to talk to an adult, one that cared, because not all adults care, and that's the harsh truth, but it's the truth. I've been in schools for 15, 16 years. And I've been to schools where educators could care less about their students. They don't care that this kid is
Ah,
in foster care. So what? Uh, they take everything personal and so on and so forth. But on every campus that I've been to in my 20-year career, there has been a caring adult. There has been either a principal, vice principal, a counselor, English teacher, a coach that does care. And you got to find that person. You have
yeah.
to find that person because oftentimes they won't find you because we're wearing that mask that everything is good.
That's such a good point. And it's really quite simple. Ask for help and reach out. When I was in high school, and a large reason why I speak now is because a lot of my stories in having an eating disorder all throughout growing up and even college, to the point where I had to drop out of college and I had to stop playing volleyball, which was the only thing that like kept me going because I was too sick to continue.
Mhm.
But I remember being in high school and my mom and my stepdad, they suspected I had an eating disorder, but they never said anything. And I had a conversation with my mom a couple years ago, and she was like, I knew something was going on, and Rob like didn't, or like he just said, whatever, it's fine. But I'm like, but it wasn't fine if I didn't have the voice to say something for myself because I was so scared to have like a bad relationship with food, or I thought it was so weird and whatever. I was never going to tell anybody. So, like, if I could go back in time, I'm not saying I would change, things that happened to me, whatever, made me into who I am today, but I would have at least reached out for help sooner because I didn't have to suffer as long. Like
Mm.
my story is my story, and yes, it will always be a part of my identity, but I really could have overcame a lot of this stuff a lot sooner. And I think it speaks to the work you and I do as speakers is people don't have to suffer as long as they think, right? And if we just break down the barriers that separate us as a student culture, we can really see that we're a lot more alike than we are different. Like the
Thousand
first
percent, 1,000. This is just the human, the human beings across the world. What we've done to each other is all man-made. All these barriers that we put up to one up each other or try to be better than each other, they're all man-made. There's, I've seen it all. I've seen it all. And it's just, why do we continue to do this to ourselves as human beings? We continue to distance ourselves from each other. We continue to let fear rule our lives. And I get it to a certain extent, right? Like being married. Okay. I'm not, I don't talk to my wife like, oh, honey, I have something to tell you. Like, please don't be mad. I don't talk to my wife like that because I'm not scared of my wife. Like, we're married, we're locked in. So, like, if something is wrong, you need to hear it from me. Right. I have feelings that, we need to express. There's a great book called Nonviolent Communication. And the author talks about how human beings are meant to express our feelings. We're meant to express our needs. We just don't. And so because we don't, it comes out as offensive or defensive. And that's not it. Right. And so I've been reading this book and I'm just like, dude, this makes so much sense. If we were just able to say, hey, cafeteria lady, I'm feeling extremely hungry because I haven't eaten for 2 days. And I need to eat something. I just need something. If you can communicate that to her, to this cafeteria, you connected with her on a human level, right? And of course, she sees a kid. They'll see a kid and they'll go, "Oh, you haven't eaten in 2 days? Sure, take this sandwich." But instead, we don't. So we go, "This food sucks." I hate eating cafeteria food when really you're starving because we don't know how to express our feelings and we don't know how to express our needs. And this is common amongst every aspect of human life. So if you get to a point where you can express how you feel, and he calls it observation without evaluation, right? So it's saying, Eden, I don't think you like me very much, right? Which is not the case. That's an evaluation. Versus, hey, Eden, when I saw you on Tuesday, I tried to wave to you and you never waved back. And I was feeling really hurt by that. Can you tell me why you acted like that? And you might be like, dude, I didn't even see you. You know what I'm saying? So now you have a chance to be like, I'm so sorry you felt that way. I have so much respect for you. I didn't even see you. I was so busy. I didn't even see you. I apologize for that. And then you move on. You've acknowledged my need. Now if I walked around with an attitude with you at every conference and you had no clue why, and then one day I'm just like, oh, well, all you do is ignore me all the time, which is an absolute negative. And you'd be like, yo, what are you talking about? A lot of people do that. That is how we communicate with one another. You know what I'm saying? And this book has really helped me to observe, try to see what is alive in that person. Like, why are they feeling that way? And then try to meet their needs.
That literally happened to me recently because I do some coaching for volleyball kids, and there was this one girl who was there, and she came up to one of my coworkers and she was like, "That girl, like, I don't think she likes me. She just gave me like the dirtiest look or whatever." And Caitlin, my coworker, came up to me and she was like, "Hey, my friend said this." And I told her, like, there's no way. Eden's like the nicest person ever. There's no way this is true. And I'm like, who? Like, who said that? And she was like, it's that girl over there. And I look at her and I'm like, nope, never seen her a day in my life. I have no idea who this person is. I'm like, you could tell her whatever she thought, she was wrong because I have never seen this girl's face. Sorry for my RBF.
And this is And I'm just like, man, this book has really helped me see these things. And a part of being an adult, which is why I love your podcast, a part of being an adult is doing it better, is investing in yourself. Read books, listen to books. You know, I get the worst version of myself is when I'm always on Instagram. I am the worst possible version of myself when I'm on social media. I'm the best possible version of myself when I'm learning about myself, when I'm trying to learn better, when I'm trying to communicate better, when I'm focusing on doing finances better, when I'm focused on my spirituality and my faith, when I'm focused on family and things like that. That is when I'm the best version of myself because I'm learning, right? And it's just like I don't I don't want to follow the status quo. I've seen what it does to human beings. We hate each other right now in this country. If
Mm-hmm.
you don't think the way I think, if you don't act the way I act, if you don't like the same people I act, there's this hate. Oh, you're against this and that, you know, and it sucks. It absolutely sucks, man. I was walking my dog today and I had to catch myself because there's this older white gentleman in the neighborhood and he also had a dog and walking our dogs and the dogs are interacting and he has this like make America great again hat on, right? And because of social media, immediately something pops up in me,
Mm.
right? Like something pops up in me. Oh, this and that. And like I had to catch myself and go, D, dude, this is just somebody with a hat who happens to like this president. So what? You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Why is that a negative thing? There's so many good things that that happen in politics. There's a lot of bad things, but there's a lot of good things too. Why does my neighbor wearing a hat make me feel uneasy or blah, 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 this and that? And it's because we've soaked up, or me, excuse not we, I've soaked up all this negativity to think that people who wear this hat or people who, whatever, support this person or support that person or automatically so on and so forth. And now you're just perpetuating the negative things that I don't like, the stereotype that I don't like. He was the nicest guy,
And how
you
is that
know?
helpful?
Exactly. It doesn't. So you create this invisible divide and like so there's this one saying that says don't kill the messenger, right? Or don't just because you don't like the person doesn't mean you don't like the message, right? And I'm pretty sure I've said some things in my past that have rubbed people the wrong way in my 20s or in my teens. And if you go through your whole life like, oh, I'll never listen to Dee Hankins because 30 years ago he said this about this person or that person, or he did this and so on and so forth. And it's just like, if we really treated each other like that, like Eden, oh my gosh, what you did your sophomore year is unforgivable. So I'm going to live my life, just you could have grown. You could have, we're so weird as humans, and we have to figure out how to do this thing better. And so for me, it's like just separating myself from all the negativity and just looking at people as human beings, you know, and that's just how it works for
It's
me.
it's like that Instagram post. It's like me, I don't hold grudges. And then it's like Becky from second grade. You're like, oh, like F that B or whatever.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
what is happening? But I think it's just I try to remind myself at the end of the day, regardless of who people voted for, we can all agree we want animals to stop being tortured. We want the world to be a better place. And in some of our brains, that translates like differently, and they feel like this president would do that. But we all have this, I want the world to be a better place. I don't want kids to be kidnapped. I don't want like we can all agree on these very fundamental things. It's just the ways our brain works. We feel like, whatever.
You see, the thing about it though is what I don't like is we put the onus on the president.
Hmm.
Right? The president isn't kidnapping kids. We are collective society as a human being. Human beings are killing other human beings. Human beings are torturing animals. Human beings are so I don't know if you saw this, but there's this quote that I live by now, and it says, "You are not in traffic, you are traffic." Right? You're
Mm,
not sitting in traffic, you are traffic. And that hits me so hard because it's so true. And the same thing goes for society. You are not a part of society, you are society.
mm,
Right? You are society. You are the one doing these things. I do this exercise when I train staff, and I say, "What's wrong with the world?" And they go, "Oh, there's a lot of hate, there's a lot of divisiveness, there's racism, sexism, all the isms, right? There's all these things going on." And I'm just like, "You are not in traffic, you are traffic." If you and I both decided, along with everybody who watches this podcast, you know what? I'm not going to kidnap kids. Guess what? The rate of kidnapping kids is going to go down. We're doing those things.
yeah.
So despite who sits in the office, it doesn't matter who sits in the office. Now they can help put laws together and so on and so forth, but ultimately it's human beings, right? Like the trash on the beach, it's not the dolphins, like, plastic cups, let's throw them on, let's throw these on the beach and show these humans who we are. No, we're trashing the beaches.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So we feel like we don't have any power to create change. And it always goes back to my three buckets. And that first bucket being my choices, the choices that we make on a daily basis, how we respond to things is how you create change. And until we believe as humans that we have power to control certain things, we can't control everything, but control certain things, we're never going to go anywhere. We're never going to go anywhere. And it's just, it's so simple to sit there and go, huh, I'm in debt. I should probably stop spending money. Right. But instead we go, oh, nobody wants to pay off our student loans. The government is always, I signed up for that school. That was me. That was a choice that
Yeah.
I purchased this car that I couldn't afford. And now it's just like, well, my boss, doesn't pay me enough for me to afford things that I can't afford. You see how we throw the onus on everybody else. And I stopped doing that. Like 2020 really opened my eyes. And I just start taking full control and responsibility over my life, no matter what I did. I'm like, oh, I just, the freedom that comes with, you know what? I don't have to shop at Target or Walmart or
Yeah.
McDonald's or whatever. I don't have, and it really hit me when this lady was like talking about Jeff Bezos, right? And it was just hilarious to me because she was so oblivious to the fact that Jeff Bezos is rich because you and I keep shopping at Amazon. He didn't wake up one day and find a pot of gold and was just
Mhm.
like, "Oh, I'm a billionaire." I buy stuff from Amazon all the time. Anytime I buy from Amazon, money goes into his pocket. Trillions of people, not trillions, billions of people, right, buy from Amazon. Therefore, he is rich. For us to be mad at somebody that we made rich is just, that doesn't even make sense.
And then they go and share a post that says, the only problem with the world is billionaires. And they
Yeah,
share
and
it.
it's just like, you made him a billionaire.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like and so until we like hold up that mirror and go, oh, I'm the problem,
Yeah.
right? And so what that he's a billionaire? He created something that we could utilize. It benefits our life, and he's a billionaire. Who am I to tell him what to do with my money? Right? Like once you put it that way, right? I want you to do this with my money that I'm paying you.
Wow.
Anytime you buy something from Amazon, you're paying him. So to tell him what to do with the money that you consciously gave away is ridiculous.
Yeah. Why do we separate ourselves as if we're our own separate being from society. Like I'm looking at society, I am the only person who is not society. Like me and me only, but you are society. That's crazy. That's the most
It's
mind-blowing
nuts.
thing.
It's not, and that's why that quote really hit me because I started thinking about it. And look at it. Like I sit in traffic a lot and I'm behind some Toyota Prius, like, move, you stupid Prius, not knowing that somebody's behind me, like, move, you stupid Mazda, and somebody's behind them, move, you stupid Honda, and somebody's behind them, move, you stupid semi, and somebody's behind them. It's just like, dude, I am traffic.
Yeah.
You know, I'm on the road. And because I'm on the road and so are all these other people, I have to deal with those consequences. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I saw another post on Instagram. You may have seen the same one where it's at a hotel and it's a sign saying, "Dogs are allowed at this hotel. I've never had a dog smoke in the rooms or throw parties or like any of this stuff. So yes, you can have your dogs because in fact, dogs are not the issue. You're the problem." But we all want to be like, you guys need to get out of my way, or this is a
Mhm.
you issue, or my life would be better if you. And that's such a victim mentality. Do you think that you can teach somebody out of the victim mentality if you go and speak to them, whether it's a student or a person? And what do those steps look like? Because if not, then I mean, we see people who are our age. I mean, I'm 26, almost 27, and then you're in your 30s, but even people older than us who are still blaming the government and everything else. But like, how
Yeah.
is that helpful? So can you
So
train that out of a person?
yes, and that's where the three buckets come in. So life has three buckets: my choice, your choice, like the choices that other people make, and things that are out of my control. I call it natural disasters and acts of God. Okay. My choice is the choices that I make on a daily basis. I can control how I respond to things, my emotions, I control what I spend. There's so many things that are in my control. Your choices are the choices that Eden makes that can affect Dee Hankins, right? If you decide to drink and drive, you can affect my life in a negative way. Okay. If you decide to, leave the gas on in the house, you can create some problems for somebody else, right? So the choices that I make, this is why like my choices and your choices are interconnected, because the choices that I make every day can impact somebody else in a positive or negative way. Okay. Then you have the natural disasters bucket, acts of God, which is viruses, sickness, illness, storms, blizzards, rainstorms, floods, wildfires, you name it, right? Things that no one can control. Okay. Life only falls in those three buckets. That's all you're going to get. You're going to get choices that you made. You're going to get choices that other people made, and you're going to get things that you can't control. It's only those three areas. There's no gray area. There's no Venn diagram, nothing. Life only falls in those three areas. Okay. When you mix the buckets, right? When you mix the choices that I make and your choices, so you mix those two buckets, you get blame. That's how I know people are mixing their buckets. When they start blaming people, I'm like, I see. You're making choices, but yet blaming people for the choices that you have made. You're mixing up your buckets,
Yeah.
right? So, I'll use the student loan one. So many people got mad at President Biden because it didn't go through. And I'm just like, you're blaming. Because the reality is, you signed up for a school you couldn't afford. That was my choice. I consciously made that choice. And there's a contract with my signature on that, not Joe Biden's, not Trump's, not Obama's, no president, da da da, this and that. There's your signature on this piece of paper that said, yes, I am willing to take out a student loan to go to this college that I can't afford. Now, Eden, are there colleges that you can afford? Absolutely. Can you say, well, I'm not going to go to college right now because I don't have the money? Absolutely. But because I made a choice to go to a college that I couldn't afford, I have to deal with the consequences of that. Now, would it be nice If somebody said, hey, I will take care of this for you, sure. But if they don't, you cannot blame them for the choices that you made. You're mixing your buckets, right? And so the victim mentality falls in that. People who have victim mentality, for instance, and I used to be that way. Oh, I can never do this because, I'm black. Now, does racism exist in the United States? Absolutely. I've experienced it, right? Are there some stages, some shows, some companies that I'll never speak at because of racism or a racist CEO or whatever the case may be? Absolutely. Does that mean that I can never speak again? No. I can make decisions that go, hey, where am I welcome as a speaker? Where will people be willing to listen to my message, black, white, Asian? It doesn't matter. Where can I go where I can excel in my career? Okay. What other people think of me because of my race or gender or religious beliefs or whatever the case may be, that's not on me. I can't control that, right? That's out of my control. Therefore, why would I spend energy on it? You get frustration. So when you mix any of these buckets with natural disasters, acts of my control, or out of my acts of God, you get frustration because you're trying to control something you can't control. And the biggest thing that falls into the natural disasters, acts of God bucket is humans. Human beings are both natural disasters and acts of God. Meaning, no matter what I tell you, Eden, you're going to do whatever you want. I can't force you to do anything. And even to the extreme, if somebody pulls me over and points a gun to my head and says, D, give me all your wallet, or give me your money and give me your car. What I do from there on out is my decision. That's a my choice thing, right? I could be like, yeah, sure. I can prioritize my family and my life and say, dude, yeah, here's my wallet, here's my keys, take it. Or I could choose to fight back, right? Now, each one has consequences.
Yeah.
Right? I could get beat up. I could get, shot. I could overpower this person and they end up in prison and whatever the case may be. That is a my choice thing, right? So people oftentimes, especially in school, especially with adults, oh, this person made me mad. And then I go, you're mixing up your buckets. No one can make you mad. You choose to be mad. I choose to be upset, right? Now, things can trigger your emotions for sure. But you make a conscious decision to be mad at somebody. That's a conscious decision. I remember one time I was dealing with my son's mom, and I'll never forget this day. We were going through it, right? And she was dropping him off, and she might have been like super late, and everything in my body was like, just don't say anything, don't say a word. Let her drop him off and just go into the house and do what you need to do. Everything was telling me that. I kept saying it over and over and over again. Well, then she came, and it was at that point where I told myself I'm going to ignore whatever my conscience was telling me, and I'm going to say something. And the moment I chose to say something, I just all kind of obscene, foul, curse words, like all kind of things. It was embarrassing, right? And I had to deal with the consequences of that. And I'll never forget that day because my body was saying, yo, you're coming across a crossroads, right? Now, I could have been like, she was late. I had somewhere to go. Because of her, I was late to where I had to go. She made me mad. She made me cuss her out. She made me do those things. And the reality is no, I chose to do that. That was a me choice. You know what I'm saying? And all your power, Eden, is in the my choice bucket. All your power, the majority of your power is in the my choice bucket. And if you live there and go, everything that I do is because I'm making this conscious decision, right? In which I call the core four, spiritually, financially, physically, and mentally. All of your power is in the my choice bucket for those core four things, right? And so if you want to take control of your life, stay in the my choices bucket. If you find yourself blaming, you know that you're mixing your buckets. If you find yourself frustrated, you know that you're mixing your buckets.
I also feel like it's a really easy, I'm going to say cop out, but sometimes it can be subconscious until we, practice being self-aware and identify our emotions and all that stuff. Where, I like to say when we feel anxiety or anger, frustration, that anxiety, it wants something physical to latch onto, and it gives us maybe a little bit of relief from that pain or whatever to feel like we have something to blame. And it also keeps us from doing anything about it, because if it's not our fault, we don't have to change it. And stepping outside of our comfort zone to actually look deep into our eyes and realize we need to make a change if we want to change in our life, we have to be brutally honest with ourselves. But because that seems like a lot of work, the easier route to be like is it's that person's fault. And I'm going to
It's
blame that
always the easier
person.
route. Yeah.
And I can justify day and night because our brain wants to work day and night to prove us right. And if that's really what we believe, then we have no strong desire to change. Do you
And
think?
no, go ahead. Well, let me piggyback on that point.
Yeah.
That perpetuates the fact that we keep blaming people. It's because other people sign off on it. When you complain, you're not complaining to yourself, right? So, oh, girl, like, you know, oh, it's because he's just a deadbeat, and then all your girlfriends is like, yeah, girl, even though they know you're in the wrong,
Yeah.
right? Or if I go to this is why I love my friends. My friends are the best part of me. They keep it real. I'll go complaining about, a relationship or my kids or something like that. And my boys will be like, dude, that's on you.
Hmm.
Like, go apologize, or you're in the wrong, or this and that. You're wrong. And they will tell me that, which helps me get back. When you're constantly saying, like if you ever go to like a political rally or something like that, or watch these people who, try to trick people with their own logic. These shows are hilarious because they can't see it. It's because you're around people that perpetuate and circulate your nonsense, even though they know you're wrong or right or whatever the case may be. And the reason why we do that is because when somebody complains to you and then you give them logic and reality, they will refrain from talking to you because you're not fulfilling their need of acceptance,
Yeah.
right? They want you. When we complain, it's because we want people to agree with us. And so when they don't agree with us, oh, I'm not gonna complain to that person anymore, because they're just gonna, they're just gonna tell me how it is, and I don't want to hear that right now. And I think more people should be like that. We should be like, I know you're wrong, or maybe not you're wrong because that's an absolute, but in a non-violent way, just go, hey, it sounds like you feel uncomfortable about this situation and you have a need for clarity. So let's try to figure that out.
Yeah.
So like, if you're watching this and the next time your sister or your mom or somebody complains about something and you sit there and go, you know what, that's kind of their fault. Say
Yeah.
it. Don't let them just keep going, because then what's stopping them?
Yeah.
And over and over and over and over and over and over again. And if you can have this type of thought process with 8 billion people, you got a problem.
I've really been working on my ability to communicate. I think a lot of the reason it was ruptured growing up is I want to say, it was just it got a lot worse with years of being in toxic relationships. And it's, when you say all this stuff, it has me thinking, even though I already know it, but like I did make a choice to stay with this person because I felt like I could change them. And I believe the words that they said to me. I don't know if believing them was a choice, but I think part of it was a choice. I chose to believe them when I knew better. I knew better and I still did it. So it kind of really hurt my ability to trust and communicate men moving forward. And that's kind of something I've taken into this new relationship is anything that's on my mind, just try and identify what is important for me to have in a partner. What can I do myself and handle myself? Like where can I self-soothe? a good example of that is, I'm really busy in my day-to-day life. I love, what I'm building and what I'm doing. And he's really busy too. He's a startup in the video game industry. But I notice sometimes if I have a bad day or whatever happens, then I'll be like, why isn't he texting me? Like, doesn't he want to check in on my day? It's not like he's texting me any less than he has been ever. It's that all of a sudden when I'm not doing something or I'm not busy enough, I want to put blame onto him when he didn't do anything wrong. So I'm working right now on being self-aware of those moments and being like, oh, I can redirect right now. I can change this right now because I can't be mad at him for no reason. It's like being mad at somebody who like if you had a dream about them and they cheat on you, you wake up mad. Like you can't do that. Like it doesn't make any
Yeah,
sense.
I've
So
had those. I've had those moments, but I want to. I'm going to pick on you for a second because I think you said something that helps clarify these three buckets. So one was, I made a choice to believe this person even though I knew better.
Mhm.
And now after these, failed relationships, it's just like now I have a certain way about men, right? So that's a perfect example of mixing your buckets, right? So I felt this certain way about men because I was making decisions that hurt me, right? And this is what a lot of people do. And I'm just picking on you because you said it, but
Yeah.
do you see how that works? It's just like, well, wait a minute. I knew better. I
Yeah.
chose different. It ended up being bad. And now I feel this certain type of way about people who had nothing to do with it. That's blame. That's what happens. And people live in that chronically,
Yeah.
chronically. And so what happens is in your case, my suggestion to you would be, hey, I do have these. What you're doing, what you're saying is you're expressing a need, right? I have a need for you to just text me more. Just every now and then, hey babe, how are you doing? That's it. That's what you're needing. If you don't express that, then that need is not going to be fulfilled. And if that need is not be filled, becomes fulfilled, guess who becomes the toxic one in the relationship?
Red
Right?
flag.
Right? So now that you know this, don't be afraid to express your need. Babe, tonight or tomorrow or something, next time you see him, babe, look, I was thinking about this. I've been feeling a little anxious about whatever your feelings are about, not being able to, when you have bad days. And I know we don't text a lot, but I just want you to check in with me randomly throughout the day, just once every now and then, because that's a need for connection. That's what I'm hearing, right? I want to, because you're working and he's far apart sometimes, so on and so forth. You have a deep need for connection, and something as easy as, hey babe, just checking in on you, see how things are going, would fulfill that need. Don't ignore that. That's not naggy. That's not, you have a need. Fulfill that need because you guys are distant. You guys are busy. And don't be like, practice that non-violently and just say those things, because then the reason why he's not texting you is because things are good. You haven't mentioned anything. So he's chilling, and it is unfair for him to be at work, doing this thing, and then one day come home and you got an attitude with him because you had a bad day and he didn't check in on you without you letting him know,
Yeah.
check in on you.
Yeah, I would love to read that book because communication, I sometimes find myself like freezing. I get really scared to talk and it's something I'm working on and I think I'm making progress, but I notice especially conflict, I'm like conflict avoidant or something, but I
You and
get
I both.
really scared to
Yeah.
talk because and I don't know why. I know he'll listen to what I say. I just get really scared and I kind of freeze. So I think that book, just communication in general, our society is so bad at communicating. And I fall into that because I am society. I am not an outsider.
We are society. No, you and I are very similar in that, in which I do not like conflict. And I used to think avoiding conflict was the way, right? To just avoid it completely. I am non-confrontational. I do not like to be the bad guy in people's stories, like 1,000%. I do not want to be that person. So I don't like conflict. However, contrary to that belief is expressing my feelings and needs is what avoids conflict. Avoiding conflict is what creates conflict,
Yeah.
right? But expressing my needs is what helps me to avoid conflict, like saying what I need to say and expressing my needs. I would just listen to it, man, on audio, on Audible, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
And it makes so much sense. It's just like, dude, okay, cool. Like, I love the way he says we have feelings.
Yeah.
Express those feelings. Just don't do it in a way where the person, where it's violent, where somebody has to now defend themselves. Another like thing that I was watching that connected these dots for me was another therapist. He was talking on Instagram, and he said when we, for he was using the example of a couple, and the wife would say, "Hey, I would like you to clean the house without me like really having to ask you to do it. Like when I'm gone at work, just wash the dishes, take out the trash, just take out the trash, please." And so after that, the husband or the couple, the boyfriend, started taking out the trash. One day, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, 6 days, right? Next thing you know, she comes home from work and he's sitting there playing on the game and the trash hasn't been taken out. So she goes, "You know what? You never take out the trash. I always have to ask you." And he goes right then and there. I don't know if this works for women, but I know it works for men because it definitely works for me. He says, right then and there, communication is lost because now I have to defend the 6 days that I did take out the trash.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So your need of takeout, it doesn't get met. And so my need of acknowledgement doesn't get met. So now we're in this violent confrontation because I'm like, "What are you talking about? I've been taking out the trash. You're getting mad at me because it's just been one day. Like I was about to take it out. I was just feeling, you know what I'm saying?" So that's what he talks about. That's how we build up to this violent way of communicating versus coming home and saying, "Hey, sweetie," like observing. "Hey, honey, I know you're in the middle of the game. Looks like you're having fun. I'm extremely tired. It's been such a long day. As soon as you're done, can you do me a favor and just take out that trash as
That
soon
was
as you can?"
nice.
Right?
That's so
It's
nice.
it's nonviolent. It's expressing my feeling. I am tired, but it's also saying, "Hey, dude, you're having a grand old time. I see you having a good time." And then it leaves the other person with a request. "When you're done, can you take out this trash for me?" If I'm on the couch and I hear my partner say that, or anybody, am I going to be more apt to take out the trash? Sure. "Hey, fellas, hold on real quick." Or during the loading screen, while I'm on the Fortnite bus. "Hey, hold on real quick. I'm going to go run and take out the trash." Boom, take it out, no problem. Versus coming in guns a-blazing, or which other people do, and I'm guilty of this too, coming home and just ignoring the person because you're mad at them
Yeah.
because they didn't take out the trash. And now it's
Yeah.
just, "Hey, babe, what's wrong?" "Nothing." Well, clearly you have an attitude, so something is wrong. Don't forget about it, right? All right, fine, forget about it. And then boom. So
No, the way you said that was so sweet. I was like, "Yes, D, I'll be right over to SoCal to take out the trash for you." I was like, that perfect way to ask. I know we've been talking forever. I just have a couple more questions, unless you have a hard
no,
stop.
hit me.
Okay, so outside of nonviolent communication, what are maybe 3 tips that you apply to your everyday relationships to just keep them really strong because you're so busy. I don't know what your wife does. You have kids, and with such a busy schedule and so much ambition, and I know your goals are really important. What are just some really good relationship tips you have that could benefit people who are also really busy but want to keep their relationship strong?
Yeah, you make it a priority. I fall short of that a lot because I love my job.
Hmm.
I love my job. Marriage is tough. Marriage is very difficult, depending on your partner. and when you got married, how old you were, you get married, what you come in. Like I came in with a lot of baggage, 2 kids from different relationships, some of them not very, not very nice. And so I come with a lot of things, but I'm serious about my goals. I'm serious about my where I want to be and where I see myself. And so when people say communication is key in a relationship, it really is. And how you say things, how you do things. Also, not letting a piece of you go for happiness, right? Oftentimes I hear that, and I just disagree with this, especially with marriage. And people say, marriage isn't meant for people to be happy, and I just don't agree with that. I just what's like say I was happy and thriving and flourishing before I got married. And then I got married and now I'm miserable and I hate myself and my life is crumbling down and I hate life. But, marriage isn't for happiness. I just don't believe that. I believe that two people have to come together and say, okay, where are we going? Somebody has to take the lead. Okay. Where are we going? What is important to you? Like my friends are important to me. And like they are, I don't have, I have brothers, but I don't know them that well. So my best friends are my brothers. They have been there since day one. They're not going anywhere. They're a high priority for me. As a matter of fact, when I hang out with my friends and I come back, I'm a better person. Right. So that me being able to hang out with my boys, go to a bar and just chill and talk and let some of this stuff out like that I go through as a man is a non-negotiable. So you have to lay out your non-negotiables. And this is for relationships, friendships, any type of ship, right? Lay out your non-negotiables and then listen to the other person's non-negotiables. And if it's reasonable, cool. Make sure you put some time in there to do those things. I'm an avid moviegoer. And I love the movies. I'm the type of person that will just sit down in the theater by myself. I go to the movies by myself all the time, all the time. It's my zen. It's a non-negotiable for me, right? The gym, my boys, and the movies, non-negotiables for me. Those things have to happen in order for me to be an optimal dad, in order for me to be an optimal husband, boyfriend, friend, whatever, you name it, right? Those things have to happen because that creates a better me.
Yeah.
Okay. So communication, my non-negotiables, and then serving. Where can I help? Find somewhere to help, right? Learn your love language. What is your love language? What is your personality type? Some people use astrology or whatever the case may be. Like find out as much as you can about yourself. So now you're able to communicate what you like, what you dislike, what you need, what you don't need, so on and so forth. And so even in friendships, my boys have different personalities. I actually share a birthday with one of my best friends. His name is Chris, and we're like polar opposites. He's more of an introvert, just kick back, chill, and relax, be in the cut, be in the shadows. And I'm more like, I'm in the spotlight. Give me the mic. I want to be in front of people, this and that. So oftentimes we butt heads because we're opposites, but we share similar things. And so I had to learn he's not me and I'm not him. And then once we got to learn that, man, our relationship is it's closer than it's ever been, because you start to understand the people that you want to spend your time with. And if you find yourself constantly butting heads, it's because you don't know enough about that person or you don't know enough about yourself. So for me, that's it. Communication is always going to be one.
Yeah.
You got to communicate. 2, what are your non-negotiables? What are something that needs to happen that's reasonable? Oh, babe, I have to do an OnlyFans. Like, that's just, that's my non-negotiable. Nah, that's not healthy. That's not helping them. Unless, your partner is like, all right, cool. Like, I'm cool with that. Then I guess so. Right. But something that doesn't hurt the relationship. Okay. So me hanging out with my boys doesn't hurt the relationship unless I'm hanging out with my boys at a strip club. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for
So
sure.
now she has something to say, or whatever the case may be. And then it's learn about yourself. Learn everything you can about yourself. Spend time investing in yourself so you could be a better server to your partner or your friends or your mom or your dad. Like some people just it's amazing how many times I see like parents who just give everything to their kids and their kids give nothing back. Just a hard time. And that's unfair. Like, how can I serve, whether it's my community? How can I serve my job? How can I serve this and that? And I believe that people don't do it because oh, you're a try hard, you're a teacher's pet, you're a this, you're a that. Well, guess what? The person who hangs around with the boss is the one that gets the promotion first.
Mm. I didn't know you were such a TV rat.
I I am.
That's crazy. I am the least. I am not a movie connoisseur at all. Like you ask me if I've seen a movie, the answer is already no. Don't even ask me. Like I haven't. I don't know any actors. I don't know anything. I know a couple. I know Ben Affleck. Okay, I know, but that's crazy. But that's something that's like you're saying you'll go to the movies alone. That's the craziest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, all the time. Oh, I love it. I love it.
What kind of movies?
I surprisingly over the years, my palette has opened to just, random things. And I used to work at a movie theater. And one time we had this movie called Pan's Labyrinth. Well, I was gonna say, have you heard of it? But you just no. But
Don't
there's
go
this
there.
movie called Pan's Labyrinth, and it was all in Spanish. And I was just why it was such a good movie. Like sometimes I just fall into really good movies. And it's not necessarily the movie or the genre, right? It's the respect that, it's the same thing like I see you, right? When I see you on stage or I see you in a workshop, something happens, right? You're this Eden is very different from stage Eden, and not in a bad way, right? But you're in your art, you're painting your canvas, you're doing your thing. And it's beautiful to see. It's beautiful to see the jokes. It's beautiful to see you walking around and engaging with people. Like it's a masterpiece. And that's how I look at it. Like I see Denzel Washington on the screen. I know this dude is an actor. I know this is his profession. But to see him do his profession, it resonates with me because I do the same thing, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, and that's kind of a cool thing about being a speaker too, is you have this one side of you and speaking, I mean, you do it a lot more than I do right now, but like when you're on stage, it's just the best feeling in the whole world. But then there's this other side of me that's like, yeah, let's go get a drink. I could go for a margarita with
For
my
sure.
girlfriends. And I love that side of me too. Like it's
Yeah.
so
And
fun.
that's the beauty of it. Like that's the beauty of just the adaptation that we have as human beings, man. Like I can be this passionate speaker on resilience who's trying to help you with your life, but at the same time, you could also go to a comic con and see me dressed up in spandex. Like, that's just who I am.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you what your guilty pleasure is, but I think it's probably movies and sweets, but you can't have
Yes.
sweets except for Sundays, unfortunately.
Yes. Yes. That is my guilty pleasure. Yeah, spot on.
Me too. Me too. I love sugar. I always need to have something sweet like right after I have anything. So I love sugar. I do. It's bad. I have cavities all the time. But I there's so many questions I didn't get to. I'm definitely gonna have you back again because I mean this is exactly what it should have been, And I could have asked you day and night about speaking and like your most impactful talks and like, testimonials and stuff. But like really, has been the best conversation ever and the longest podcast I've ever done with somebody.
That is so awesome. And I'm just, I'm so proud of you, man. Really, you have overcome so much, and you wanted to speak, you spoke. Your body tried to stop you from speaking. You overcome that. Your personality hasn't changed.
Oh,
You're such a beautiful and wonderful person. And it's just an honor to now call you friend and sister. And I have so much love and respect for you. And I know that your passion for helping high school students enter this adult world and your vulnerability and transparency that you share it's gonna go far, man. And I've just been it's been an honor, and I'm so excited to be on this podcast today. So thank you for
Oh,
thinking of me.
that's gonna be the clip that I put in the beginning of the show, just so everyone knows how awesome I am. And then
Yeah, absolutely. As you should.
it's
As you should. Awesome, all capital letters. And I don't think that and I know you as a professional, and we've talked on the phone and had personal conversations. I don't know the Eden outside, like we haven't gotten margaritas yet. I haven't seen you in the room yet, and these are things that I would love to experience because this creates the whole you. And
yeah.
if people don't that are watching this don't know you, like the best way I can put it is just an awesome, down to earth person that everybody needs to know. Like she is literally your best friend. And so if you're watching this, this is she's the person that you want to follow. She's the person that you want to have conversations with and talk about life with, because she's been through it, and she's dealt with it in such a beautiful way. So that's my plug for Eden Gold. And her name is Eden Gold, y'all. Like, come on. Crazy.
Thank you. That is literally so sweet. And do you want to hear something exciting that I'm putting together?
I do.
I've never done anything like it, but I'm doing it. So I'm putting together a national speaking tour, and I don't know how it's gonna go. I there's a lot of moving parts. I have a number of warm leads, but I got a lot of dates on the calendar to fill. And basically, it's called the Unshakable U Tour, helping 1 million students build unshakable self-confidence. And I'm giving myself 3 months to plan it and book it out. It's going to be Oregon, SoCal, Texas, New York, and Arizona, because I have a lot of opportunities in Arizona right now. But I'm just like, I've been making the poster and I'm planning out like a marketing strategy. But all that said, if it works out, this would be the craziest thing that I've ever done in my entire speaking career. I just believe in myself so much. I think I can do it. And I'm like half naive. So I'm like oblivious to anything bad that could happen. So I think it's ignorance is bliss. That's like 100% me. But
Dude,
that
make it
said,
happen.
once I get my first gig booked in LA and then create some gigs, around that, or opportunities to create like urgency and stuff, that's when we can go get margs to celebrate.
Let's do
Because
it. Let's do it.
yeah, it'll be around late August to October. I'm trying to make it like a 2.5 month thing. But as soon as I start doing outreach in LA, I don't have like too many connections, but when I do, we'll plan a margarita night.
Hey, let me know. I'm all for it. Also, when you're done with your flyer, send it to me. I'll post it in my stories.
Yeah, I'll show you off air. I know we're just at this point, we're just like rambling, but I don't have like full dates yet because I'm trying to think like I have pending dates, but it's also up to change depending on who books me first. But I don't know if you can see that at all. Can you see that?
Oh, wow. I love that.
So that's it so far. I'll send it to you for sure when I
You know
finish it.
what? I have a design idea. Can you make Eden Gold sparkle?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, you should do that.
Okay, I'll make it sparkle.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Make
I
Eden Gold like if gold was, how gold sparkles and all that? Like do
yeah.
that.
I would love your advice. I'll probably be calling you like and asking you all my questions.
Yeah,
Um,
hit me.
I want to end with one thing. I have some rapid fire true or false.
Okay.
Okay, and then that's how we're gonna end the show.
All right, here we go.
True or false? You've had a moment mid-speech where you thought to yourself, wait, are they even listening to me?
True. Very true.
True or false? Where am I? Most speakers are out here faking confidence until they find it.
True. Also very true.
True or false? In order to be a successful speaker, you have to be an extrovert.
False.
True or false? Most people give up right before the breakthrough.
True.
Why you say it like
True.
that?
I've experienced both. I've experienced those who are like right there, and I've experienced those who haven't even picked up the shovel yet.
Mm-hmm.
that give up. Um, I wouldn't say most. I would say a lot. I think most people give up before they even start, but a lot of people give up before like their breakthrough. A lot of
Yeah.
people do, and that's disappointing sometimes.
Yeah, yeah, no, that makes sense. Okay. True or false? You can tell more about a person by how they fail than how they succeed.
1,000% true.
True or false? High schoolers have a better BS detector than most adults.
True. So true.
That's funny. True or false? You've doubted your path even after you got paid to speak.
Okay, early in the career or late in the career?
You take that question however you want, boy.
Early in the career, true. Later in the career, extremely false.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense. True or false? I just asked you that one. Hold up. True or false? At least once you've wanted to cancel a gig because life was life in, but you didn't.
So true.
Yeah?
Oh yeah.
There's no way
Oh
you can
yeah.
cancel a gig. That's not a thing. Have you
You
ever?
can. You can. I have not done that, but there are some situations in which I did. I wish I did, because it was terrible. Yeah.
Yeah. True or false? If you had to choose between a standing ovation or one DM saying you changed my life, you would take the DM.
True.
Yeah?
True.
Okay. I think that's all the ones. I actually made a list of 20, but I was like, I need to chill. Like, we've been talking for 2 hours.
These are quick. Hit me. Keep going.
Let's see here. True or false? You've cried after a motivational speech, your own or someone else's.
True.
Okay.
Not cried, but was choked up.
True or false? Being different is actually a disadvantage.
False. False.
Okay. True or false? High school is the hardest part of life.
False.
High school is pretty hard, but there's other hard things too. Yeah, yeah, that's like high school hard.
I
That's
think that
different.
answer is subjective, but I'm gonna say false for sure.
True or false? Resilience means pretending you're fine even when you're not.
False.
I knew you were gonna say that. That was a dumb question. True or false? You can teach confidence just like you can teach math.
True. True. True.
Okay. True or false? Social media has made it harder for young people to know who they really are.
True.
Why do you say that?
There's a lot of lies out there.
Hmm.
It's easy to manipulate people into believing whatever they want you to believe. So yeah.
True or false? The most powerful person in the room is always the loudest.
False.
I agree. True or false? Success has an age limit.
False.
Awesome. I mean, like I said, Dee, I could sit here and talk to you all day. So I need to stop now because I have 500 more questions to ask you. Like I missed you. Haven't seen you in so long. Yeah, thank you for taking so much time out of your day before your birthday. Guys, you have to wish Dee happy birthday. Shout yourself out. Where can we find you? Where can we learn more? Where can we get all this goodness Dee has to offer? And then plug any upcoming like launches, anything cool that we can like promote right here, right now.
Yeah, thank you. You can find me on IG at I am Dee Hankins, and then my website, dhankins.com, YouTube, all of it's the same. Let's see, it's a secret kind of because I've been being low key, but I am writing a book, my first book. My podcast, The Dee Hankins Show. I need to get super serious about that and just kind of sit down in the studio and make some things happen. So this gave me some inspiration. You can find that on YouTube as well. And yeah, man, I mean, just if something was said that you like and you see some videos that you like, you can always book me to speak at your school or train your staff or be in front of your employees or whatever the case may be to talk about resilience. My whole job is to help people in challenging situations come out of it with a more resilient and confident attitude. And then my last piece of advice for everybody here is always remember life throws curveballs, but even curveballs can be hit for home runs.
Woo! Thank you so much, Dee.
You're welcome. Thank you, Edith.
Living life every day, late at night, not okay. All I want, and I pray, all I need are some better days.